Flosstube, welcome to Snickerdoodle Stitch. My name is Kathleen and this is a channel about cross stitch. So welcome everybody. I'm glad you're spending a few minutes with me during this busy time of the year. It has been crazy hectic for me. I almost didn't film tonight because honestly I haven't done a whole lot of stitching. I do have some and I have an FFO. So I thought I would go ahead and stay on schedule and film tonight. And then the next time I film will be in 2 weeks. So that will be New Year's weekend. God, I can't believe 2 weeks from now will be New Year's already. But it is going to be my whip parade, and either that or it will be a 2023 fully finishes parade. I'm going to do both of those and I'm not sure which I'm going to do first. I'm leaning toward the whip parade for New Year's weekend because I think I'll have a few more fully finished items that weekend. So then I'll do a fully finished 2023 parade the next episode. But other than getting ready for the holidays and I did do some stitching. I signed up for the Jingle Ball. Let's talk about retreats for a minute. I signed up for Jingle Ball. That's an online retreat. That's the first weekend in December. This was the second year. I didn't actually attend, so I signed up for it and I did do a little shopping and I can watch the recorded classes up until January 2nd. I only signed up for 2 classes, one with Cathe Haberman from Hands On Design. Her class was on how to make one of the little pillows, and she had a pattern for that was really cute. It's like jingle bells for the Jingle Ball. And then the other one, oh, I'm drawing a blank on her name and who it was with. It was on how to make a biscornu. So both very similar techniques, but I thought I might pick up some tips there to make those a little bit easier because I have some patterns for those, and in all honesty, I've procrastinated doing them because of the assembly. So that was Jingle Ball. I heard they had some technical challenges again this year, but hopefully that was just the first night. And then I did get word this week that Sweater Weather is going to happen again. That was the retreat in Philadelphia in October, sponsored by the Rebel Stitcher. I had a fantastic time. It was the best retreat room. It was the one where the entire wall was glass, floor to ceiling glass windows, so there was so much light. And it was a good size retreat, and I was a little disappointed because at the end of the retreat she said they were going to have to think long and hard about whether they would do it again, that it was a lot of work. But I'm so glad that they decided to do it again. So I'm actually going to reach out to her and see if there's anything I can help with. And then I saw that Needlework by Jim, which used to be Needleworker's Delight in New Jersey, is doing Needlework Extravaganza. It is a combo of retreat and shopping, similar to Galleria or Market, where the hotel rooms actually become like the shops for each store. That one is in March, so I did sign up for that one because there aren't any retreats in the spring. Well, there's Stitch North, which I am signed up for, but I'm kind of on the fence about whether I'm going to go to that or not. I may cancel that one. I did a look at my vacation time for next year and I have an awful lot planned again and very few vacation days unaccounted for, so we'll see. I'm doing the Alaska cruise the end of August with some other stitchers, and that's going to eat up a nice chunk of vacation time because the cruise is Saturday to Saturday. I don't want to fly out Friday just in case there's some problem. I want to go out earlier than that so that I'm sure I'm there before the cruise ship leaves Seattle. So it's looking at, a week and a half of vacation time for that trip, but I'm really excited about that one. So those are some retreats that are going to happen next year or are new next year. So check those out. Needlework Extravaganza, the sign up for that was right on Needlework by Jim's online store, so that one was easy to sign up for. And Sweater Weather, the sign-ups haven't started yet. I think she said February. I'd have to double check, but it's not now. All right, so I've got an FFO to show. I've got a few whips. I have some haul. And then I have what I'll call some retro stitching. It is some older stitch pieces that I have that I'm actually going to refinish, because the way they're finished is part of what is making them look dated. You'll understand when I get to them. And then I have some quilting stuff that I was going to share. Some other things that I didn't share last time. It kind of goes with the retro finishes, because one of the finishes I'm actually going to hang on a rod that I have a quilt on right now. And then I'm going to show a closer up of the quilt that's behind me, a view of the full quilt and up close. And the same with the Jelly Roll Race quilt that I showed last time. I had some requests that people wished that I had shown the full quilt. So I am sorry for that. And I will do that in the future. It's a little awkward to, you know, I'm set up here for this up close filming, and then to move back and show the full quilt gets a little awkward, but we'll figure it out. So my FFO, I'm so excited, and I love this. I've had it sitting on my sofa, propped up all week, so when I'm sitting in my chair, I could see it propped there, and my Christmas tree in the family room was right behind it. And I was just loving looking at this one. But it is Primrose Cottage Stitches, Welcome to the North Pole. It was this pattern, and I did it on 28 count fiber on a whim, milk and honey. So I'm not going to hold the pattern up too long because you're going to get to see the real thing. So I'll hold it back first so you can see the full thing. It fit in a 10 by 20 frame perfectly. So I was very excited with that. I did have to shop a little bit to find one that had the right dimensions, but this one came from Michael's. Yeah, I believe Michael's. I don't think this was Hobby Lobby. I'm pretty sure this was Michael's that I was wandering around in Black Friday when they had buy one get two free and buy one get one free, and so that's it. Back farther, and now I'm going to hold it up close so you can see. So the plan was to do it a row a month starting in June and finishing in November. I got a little behind because I didn't stitch on this in October, but I caught up, so it is finished. So you started out with the Welcome to the North Pole, then you've got these really cute little toy train, and then the snowmen with the wagon, and then the little cocoa stand, which I love, with the two little elves, and then we've got the little village, and it finished with Santa and Mrs. Claus with the sleigh. And then it's got all of these little snowflakes in every section that really just carry through in it. You know, it's a lot of work, but doing a section a month, it really didn't feel like that much work. It was a few nights solid stitching to do each row, and then it was done, and I'm really happy with it. They had it in a custom frame that's wood tone and has a bow thing at the top, but I just went with the standard frame. I took the glass out. I didn't keep the glass since this will only hang 6 weeks a year. It'll be okay even with my gas heat. And it's, if I left the glass out, then I could use the back that came with it, with the frame. So I opted to throw the glass away, but I'm really happy with this. It's just so cheerful and bright and fun, and I'm not sure where I'm going to hang it. Right now I may put it back propped up on the end of my sofa so that I can sit there excuse me, and look at it at night. But so that was my one FFO. This next one, this might be a finish. So I started this pattern from Val Stuff, It's this little cat with the ho ho ho. And it has a little jingle bell that hangs on that bow dangling from the ho ho ho. But I'm not sure I'm going to do that part. So I stitched on 28 count opalescent. It's my first time stitching on the opalescent fabrics, and I know people say it's difficult to stitch on. I didn't really find it that difficult. So mine is, it just says 28 count white opalescent. I think it's a like Lugana. I don't know. Might be, I don't know what it is. It's 28 count. So I got the little cat done. And you can see the sparkles, maybe. And yeah, you can see it's still got the hoop marks. I haven't ironed this one yet. And part of why I haven't ironed it is I haven't put the ho 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 on. And I'm not sure I'm going to. It's a little bigger than what I really like my ornaments to be. And if I leave it like this, I can finish it as an oval, and it'll be a skosh smaller than if I put the ho 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 on. I may even, I thought about using my brother's scan and cut and scanning it and cutting out the shape. But I don't think the scan and cut is gonna scan this properly. It's gonna get confused by the opalescent, the sparkles in there. I did something else on the scan and cut and realized that it really struggled with metallics. Can't think of the word. So that one may be done. I'm just kind of sitting on that one. And then I had shown this that I got at one of the freebie tables. It was the Jeanette Douglas Winter Posey. These little rounds. I got this one and the one with the violets. The one with the violets is the one that I've been eyeing up, but I really like the Winter Posey too. And the pattern calls for doing it on 40 count. And I have a little strip of Fox and Rabbit flannel flower in 40 count. And I started it, and this is all I got done. I laugh at people when they show things like this as a start. I'm like, that's not a start. I'm gonna cover my face. That's an experiment. But I'm not having fun stitching it. It's a little tedious working on this 40 count, 1/2. So I may abandon this and stitch it on like a 25 count Lugana over 1. I enjoy stitching on Lugana over 1. I'm thinking that may be the way for me to always go instead of a 40 count, because I'm just not having fun, and what's the point, right? It's not like I need this. This is my hobby. I'm doing this for fun, and if I'm not having fun, I'm not going to keep doing it. But just as a little holly motif in the Noel, I think I may just take that and finish it as an ornament instead of doing it this way. And yeah, I'm either going to move to a 36 count, which will make it bigger, but I think it was only like 2.5 by 2.5. It's pretty small on the 40 count. So yeah, decisions, but it's not going to get finished on the 40 count. I'm 90% sure. And then my next two things were different. It was one of those stitchy weeks where nothing quite like went the way that I wanted it to. I was working on that on the 40 count, wasn't having fun, stopped at that point. And then I was working on my mouse trilogy. This is a Mill Hill kit. They've got 3 of the mice. I have 2 of them already done, fully finished, hanging on my tree. And this is the 3rd one. And I would have gotten farther, but I had to tear a bunch out. Last time I showed this, I had the greenish brown at the bottom, and I had a little bit of the cheese here. And the cheese, I realized that I had pulled the light yellow and it needed to be the dark or medium yellow, something not light yellow. The light yellow is this right here next to the red, that really light bright yellow. And I had that down here, which wouldn't make sense. And part of what makes Mill Hill kits so, their patterns so adorable is the shading, which really makes it special. And light yellow wasn't going to do it. So I had to tear that all out. And I know what I did because this is my fancy schmancy thing that I have my floss sorted on. And it called for dark yellow, and I pulled the floss above, and that's light yellow. The dark yellow was down below. So I know what I did wrong, so now how I did that, so now I can be careful and not do that again. But it meant I didn't get as much done on that as I could have. It's a little tough tearing or picking out on the perforated paper because your stitches are pretty snug on the paper, so it's a little more difficult to get your needle underneath the stitch to pull it out. And this next one, I thought I would have finished, but I couldn't find one of my flosses. This was Little Dove Designs Home for Christmas, and you can get this pattern at your Needleworks store, or mine was a download. You can buy PDFs and do the download. And I really love this piece, and I thought I would be finished. I actually, from the peppermint candies on down, I had the border all done, and I still need to remember to put those two red things there. I know I'm going to forget that. Anyway, I had the border all done, but from the candies on down is what I worked on, and I would have finished, but I couldn't find my 3371 floss, which I needed for the snowman hat and eyes and buttons. And there's a little deer that goes in here in between these two trees. And then there are some candy canes that go in down here. So I really have very little left, but the one floss that I really needed to keep moving, I couldn't find. I have located it. I was determined to find it because I know I have multiples of that color. And it turned out I had just put it away already. I don't know what I was doing. Anyway, this is on Zweigart Vintage Stormy Night, but I'm working on what would probably be the back of it. So Vintage Stormy Night is this modeling like Vintage Country Mocha, but the back was the perfect gray that I needed, that the white would pop on, and this blue, like, is in this border, is this bluey gray. So I couldn't go too dark, or that wasn't going to show up. I couldn't go too light, or all of those white snowflakes weren't going to show up, and they were too much work. These snowflakes in here are a lot of crosses and back stitch. So let me hold it up close and maybe you can see. It makes them really lacy, but they were very tedious to do. You kind of got in a rhythm after doing one of them because it did just repeat, but I'm really happy with this. This is the one that I did order a custom frame from Art to Frames. So I'm actually hoping maybe I can finish this tonight, since all I've got are a couple little things there, some candy canes and a couple little red things. We'll see. It will be finished next time I'm showing any finished stuff. All right, now I'm going to go into kind of an odd mishmash of stuff. So this little mouse I found in my Christmas ornaments, but it was just the little scrap of Ada with him stitched on there. I think he was from a kit, so I'm sure you can't get him now because he's probably been stitched for 25 years. But he wasn't finished, so I finished him, And I used a piece of the Sweet, I always get them mixed up. There's two lines. I'm going to show you stuff from both lines from Moda from a few years ago. One was called Sweet, one was called Swell. This is the one with the snowman. I think Swell was first and Sweet was next. So this is Sweet. And then the cording, I didn't make the cording. The cording I bought at Michael's. No, Joann's. One of the two. It's in the Christmas stuff. And I think it was Michael's. And all the Christmas ribbon is now like 75% or 70% off or something like that. And the cording was in the Christmas stuff. This I actually bought for $1 at a thrift store. But I wanted to show it because look at that. Isn't it gorgeous? So that poinsettia is stitched over one in there, and that is only about 1 inch in diameter. And then they have it finished behind this, it's like a macrame snowflake, which then has had stiffener, some kind of permanent stiffener. It's not like the sugar thing that you used to do with balloons to make those Easter eggs that were always a mess. Some kind of stiffener is on here. But it was $1 at the thrift store, and I couldn't pass it up because it was such beautiful workmanship. The poinsettia, let me see if I cover my piece, is really detailed, and it's so tiny. But I thought the whole thing was beautiful. So that was a thrift store find. And then I did last Saturday, I went to a couple local craft shows. It's the only ones I went to this year. There's some that I always stalk, and somehow like every one I got sidetracked and forgot them, and then realized, you know, Sunday late afternoon that I had missed the craft show. But I went to a couple local ones, and there was someone who everything she had was cross-stitched. And she had beautiful work and in no way was charging what the hours invested in them would be. So like I got this set of 4 ornaments for $12, and it's a little bit hard to tell, but they are completely solid stitch. So even that cream color is stitched on there. I thought at first they were maybe on perforated paper because they are a little stiff. But then I looked closely at this one, and I can actually see that she's cut around the Ada really close to the stitching. And then she has them stitched, whip stitched all the way around to a piece of felt. But she must have a piece of cardboard in here to make them a little bit stiff. But I thought they were so beautiful. She had some really cute stuff, and none of them were things that where I'm familiar with the patterns. It could be because the patterns are really old, I don't know, but I couldn't pass those up. Just so much work in all of them. All right, now I'm into some retro, which you can laugh at. I'll start with this one. So this one actually has the year on it, and the finishing will be a dead giveaway. This I finished in 1986, as you can see from the year. I think the pattern was from a company called something like Cross My Heart, maybe. 1986, I was still in college, but I was working at a craft store that year, and I'm pretty sure that's where I got this pattern and the flosses. And then look, don't you love the ruffle finish? They used to actually sell these like embroidery hoops with a ruffle on them, but I made this ruffle on the embroidery hoop, and you can see my horrible finishing on the back. So it's just closed in this, you know, the outer embroidery hoop had the ruffle around it, and then you just snapped it down on your thing, and I've just kind of hacked off the fabric, it looks like. So it's very dated looking, but I decided that it's this finishing that's what is really making it look dated. And I have enough wiggle room on the back. What I think I'm going to do, instead of having it on this ruffle, I have a couple things that I got on clearance at Hobby Lobby. Now these aren't the right colors. I would have to paint it, but I may take one of these, get rid of the ruffle and the horrible lace that's on there. Let me see if I can kind of mash it down and mount it in one of these instead. I don't know. I'll get rid of the ruffle first and then figure out, I think then I can see better. Would I like it in one of these? And if I do, what color would I paint? Would I spray paint it? So I have this one, and then I have this one. So neither color really works. And it will be tricky to figure out what color to use. It may end up being a dark green, just not the horrible ruffle. But this was stitched on some kind of even weave. That green background is actually I'm on the wrong side. This light green is actually the fabric. So I tried doing a reverse image search to find the pattern, but the reverse image search brought up a lot of other dated stitching that were round, but not this one. So not sure. All right, this next one is my hanger that's really funny here, what I've got rigged up here. And I hung this for years this way. This was from a Stony Creek book, and you can see it is stitched on, I don't think it's fiddler's cloth. It's an even weave, but it's very tweedy looking. And look at all that backstitch. Stony Creek always had a ton of backstitch, but I loved Stony Creek in the day. So to finish it, I had made this banner, and then here's the really funny part. This gold ribbon I have glued to the dowel so that it wouldn't slide, because if you didn't glue it, it would just scrunch up and smoosh the piece up. But I do still like this piece, but I haven't used it in several years, and I think it's this this crazy thing I've got going at the top here. So what I'm gonna do right now, I have this quilt hanging on this quilt hanger, and you can't, this sits in a slot, there's a holder, and it's got a star up here. I don't love this quilt. I did it in a day, like a one-day open sew thing, and it's just some squares. It's all from one fabric line, and then I made this wonky star in here, and you can see I've got it quilted on I've got it like cross-hatched quilted, except in the star. And the star I used metallic thread to do the quilting. I shadowed the inside of the star, and then I free-formed this in here. And one of this point's not right, but anyway, I think what I'm gonna do, because this is the right size for this holder, I'm going to get rid of this dowel with the gold ribbon, and I'm gonna hang this on that holder, and I think I may be happier with this. Needs to be ironed. It's been kind of rolled up in Christmas stuff. I haven't used this in a few years, but actually several years. So that was my other retro piece that I thought I would show and give you all a good laugh at. Okay, I have a little bit of stash. I was at a quilting night last week, and Moda puts these out, and these are by Cathe Holden, but it's these two little zipper pulls, and I'm gonna put them on some project bags. I definitely need some more Christmas project bags. I've now got Christmas in some stupid, not cute, not pretty project bags. So all right, this is some stuff I got for or at Jingle Ball. Oh no, I lied. So I did pick up these little Santa tags. It's a whole, there's 20 of them at Hobby Lobby. The full price is $2.99. So if you can find them half off, they're $1.50. And they're pretty heavy, and I thought they would make the cutest floss drops. I don't have anything that I need Christmas floss drops for right now, but those were too cute. So Hobby Lobby, less than $2.99 because everything's always on sale there. So, or 7% off. I didn't get the, so Jingle Ball, every year they put out an exclusive book, and it's an ornament designed by every designer that is at the ball. So there's about 20. I don't have this year's yet. I forgot to order it when I was shopping. I only bought some stuff from Hands On Design. So one downside to the ball, or not downside, but just a way to understand that it works, is each designer has their own digital shop at the ball. So if you buy from 3 different designers, you've got, they're each gonna ship, and so you're paying shipping for each of the 3. So I did order from Hands On Design, but I want to pick up the 2023 exclusive book. I'll show you just a couple designs from last year. They had last year's book for sale as well this year, but I already had last year's. But this one is from Noteworthy Needle, and look at how they have taken the floss and done the little braids on that little girl and the little cat there looking out the window, and you can just see the tip of, I guess, Santa's sleigh up there. But I loved, this was just so clever to me, the way they did the hair. So I do want to stitch that one, and then the front ones are the ones that I really liked. It's the first 3, so it's easy for me to find. This was the Cathe Haberman one in last year's book. Cute little Santa and Noel. And my one tree, I've mentioned before, my entire tree, every ornament on it is mice. There's nothing other than mice. And this is one in there, and this one is from Lindy Stitches. So that's just a small sample of what the booklet looks like. Oh, this was Satsuma Street. I actually like this one too. It's on the cover. But yeah, if you check out the Jingle Ball, if you generally like those designers, then the book of ornaments that they put out it's a really good deal, and it's exclusive. It's ornaments you can only get there. And then I did an order from Cathe Haberman. Some of this was before the ball. This pattern, All Is Bright, which I really liked. And I got the flosses that went with it. So she had a floss strap. This was like a bundle with the pattern and the Weeks Dye Work flosses. So I did buy that. She put a really cute freebie pattern in there, which I can't show because it's just the pattern. And then I bought the wool squares for my pillow, and I meant to print out the pillow pattern so I could show what the pillow pattern was. And then I bought these exclusives. which I don't know if they stay exclusives. A lot of times exclusives are just exclusive for a year. That's why I'm going ahead and showing them. But this one was called A Little Bit of Joy. This is from Hands On Design, obviously. And then it has the matching Joy. And she has a really cute story on Joy that she had an idea for it. Well, first she designed this one and then realized it wasn't the right size or shape for what she wanted. And so then she did Joy. So you end up with two that kind of companion ornaments, but they're stitched on Weeks Dye Work Watermelon, which I might have. I don't know. I got plenty of bread. No, I don't have a lot of bread, but I have some. All right. I have a little bit of haul that I got at the thrift store. So at the thrift store, I actually found a little Mill Hill kit for $1. It's that little house. It's an ornament. But it's cute. The beads, everything's in there. It's like an unopened kit. And then I got a couple charts from Farish Design, and one of them even had some flower thread in it, but this one is the 1998 commemorative sampler from Farish Designs. I was fascinated with the packaging. She's got gorgeous packaging on her patterns here. And then this one was Kathryn's Garden, and it's also from Farish Designs. This one has some drawn thread and specialty stitches, but I like doing those sometimes. All right. And then there was actually a Jardin Prive, and this has like the 4 seasons. Actually, it's called the 4 seasons. It's in French, but it's the 4 seasons. And you can see at the bottom, spring and summer, fall. See if I can get it to focus. There we go. So that was from the, we've got some really good thrift stores around. And then this was $1.25, and it was Peace on Earth with a cat and a mouse. I am partial to male orange cats, so it's got a cat and a mouse. It does look a little dated, and it's gonna be big it's gonna be 5 by 7. So I don't know what on earth I'm gonna ever do with it, but the cat and the mouse were really cute, and it was $1.25, so I picked it up. And that is the end of my stitching. If you're interested in the quilt stuff, I'm going to move on now and show a little bit of quilts. So, I started this at the sewing night last week, and I'm actually taking a class on Saturday, an all-day class on this quilt, but really it's just because I want an excuse to sew with some friends for the day. But it is called Poinsettia Star, and it's all just half square triangles. So a half square triangle is, if you look at this upper corner, it's a square made up of 2 different triangles, and that's all this is, are half square triangles that are then arranged into this pattern. I'm doing mine all in different blue batiks and some different silver and weights and weight on weights, and it's a pretty big quilt. It's 4 by 4 of this size block, so it makes like a 70 by 70 quilt, which is about twin size. But my plan is, if I ever get it finished, that I can hang it over the railing in my entryway. I used to hang the quilt behind me there, but I've taken it to hang in here instead of the villages. So that's the, if you can see, it's all just half square triangles. Half square triangles, yeah, sewn together. So hopefully, I won't finish it Saturday, but hopefully this winter you'll get to see a finished one of that. And then I was talking about Sweet and Swell, and this is the line. So these are a couple stockings that I made. I made them last year, I think. So this is my first year. This one I've got the whole bottom are little squares. And they're all from that line of fabric, which I think is Sweet. I think Swell was first. This was the second year with the snowman. The first year had a Santa. Actually, I've got a little bit of the Santa mixed in here too. So this one, I did the squares for the bottom and then just did the plain cuff at the top. And that's the back. This one, it's the same fabric in a different colorway. On this one, I've just got the whole bottom and I did the squares at the top. I really wanted to keep some of this snowman. I love this snowman. It's the same snowman face that I put on the back of the little mouse ornament that I just finished this year. But those are just a couple stockings I made, and then I just freeformed the stocking shape. I showed this quilt last time, but I forgot to mention a couple things, and I had the request to show the full quilt. So this is the Jelly Roll quilt. I'm gonna step back so you can see the whole thing. And I mentioned that the back of it is just a blanket from like Marshall's Home Goods, TJ Maxx, one of those. It's just a fleece blanket, which doesn't stretch as much as Minky. It is still a little tricky to work with though. If anybody's quilted with Minky or heard about quilting with Minky, it does stretch. This isn't Minky, so it doesn't stretch as much, but I do spray based and pin based before I quilt these because I'm wrestling this into my standard home machine, and I've got to make sure that it stays together and doesn't do anything wonky. And on this, the quilting, I'll get up close first with the quilting. It's just a wavy stitch, and I just ran it down every one of these rows. I did the wavy stitch. You can probably see it better on the back what I'm talking about. And I think most of the machines that people use and do quilting on have that wavy stitch. I stitch on an Elna. It's like a Janome. I do have a smaller Janome as well, but I know Bernina has a similar stitch. But let me stand back with this now. Excuse me while I move around. I'm trying not to make anybody dizzy, including me. I'm not even sure I can get the whole thing on camera. So this quilt is all 2.5 inch strips that are sewn together. Actually, let me show it this way. This is actually the direction it should go. All right, I'm gonna cut this here and zoom out. This is about all I can get in the camera, but this is zoomed out of the quilt. So it's just the Jelly Roll race, and then I used a 15-inch square ruler to slice it all the way down here, and I inset these 5-inch squares with this narrow red border, It was just to give it a little more visual interest, and because I wanted the quilt to be wider than the way the Jelly Roll Race comes out. And I can't get the whole quilt in there. It's a pretty big quilt. It's not a wall hanging. It's like a sofa throw. The nice thing about the Jelly Roll Race is that you can do one in an afternoon. Then you've got to do all the quilting, or the basting and the quilting, but you don't have such a time investment in it that, like, I use this on my sofa all the time this time of year. I really like it because I like fuzzy blankets in the winter. I'm cold all the time. But the fuzzy blankets, I get fuzz in my stitching, like my cross stitching. And with this, now I've got the quilt, you know, I've got the fuzzy blanket next to me and the quilt here, so there's no fuzz to get caught in my stitching. So that is that quilt. And now I'm gonna break again, because I wasn't sure with the request to see the whole quilt if people meant this quilt or the one that's behind me. So I'm gonna cut away and move the phone so that I can show the whole quilt that's behind me. But this is this one. This is the whole quilt. This is from a pattern book from Fat Quarter Shop that's designed for their Jolly Bars, which is half of a layer cake, which is basically just a stack of 5 by 10 inch pieces of fabric. And now I'm going to move in closer, hopefully without making anybody too dizzy. This is what it looks like up close. It's really cute fabric with little foxes in here and berries. And this was a kit, but you bought the book separately. And it had this really cute white fabric in the background. And now that I'm looking at this, I think I've got the quilt hanging upside down, but it's symmetrical, so it's hard to tell. And then to quilt it, I followed this. I wanted to highlight the snowflakes. So I came in with my walking foot and just stitched from there. And then when I reached here, I just eyeballed going over to the next one. And I did it 1/2 inch away from the star and then 1/2 inch into the star. And it just gives this crosshatch look. And I think highlighted the kind of star motif that's going on in there. Star or snowflake, whatever you want to call it. And this one I did do hand binding on in this pink fabric. And then the back is actually pieced together as well. There's some huge panels. It's from a salesman sample pack. And then I had some pieces of this fabric, not from the kit, and so I've pieced the back. The back almost, well, it's not as much piecing. It was a little fiddly to do, but that is the quilt that hangs behind me right now. Well, thank you for visiting, and I hope everybody has an absolutely wonderful Christmas and that you and your family are safe and healthy for the holidays. And I will talk to you in a couple weeks. Bye.